Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dig through the numbers to find out what is really going on behind the corporate curtains. Today we are dissecting a big proxy statement from CytoDyn Incorporated, and let me tell you, this one has a lot of moving parts. We are talking about elections, compensation, and a significant proposal to increase the company's authorized shares, which is always a flashy move. Before we dive in, if you appreciate getting straight insights from these complex corporate documents, make sure you are subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below where we go deeper on these reports. This proxy statement covers the upcoming annual meeting of stockholders for CytoDyn Incorporated, and it is packed with information about what shareholders will be voting on. Think of it as the company's report card and a peek into its future plans, all rolled into one. First off, the meeting itself is set for the 21st of November 2025, and it is going to be a virtual event. They re-inviting all stockholders to tune in online. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the proposals, the company is asking for your vote to re-elect their board of directors, to approve their auditors, and to give a thumbs up to their executive compensation. They also want shareholders to weigh in on how often they like to vote on executive pay. Let's start with the big one, the election of directors. They're proposing to keep 5 directors on the board, all of whom are deemed independent. This is pretty standard practice, and these are the same folks who have been guiding the company. Next up, they are seeking to ratify the choice of CBCBI's PC as their independent auditors for the fiscal year ending May 2026. It is worth noting that the company has gone through a few auditor changes recently, which can sometimes raise eyebrows. They explain that Markham LLP Accession business was acquired by CB's, leading to this engagement. Then we have the advisory vote on executive compensation. This is where shareholders get to express their opinion on how much the top brass is getting paid. The company states their philosophy is to align executive pay with stockholder interests without encouraging excessive risk. This vote is really about signaling shareholder sentiment. Following that, they're asking how often shareholders want to have this advisory vote on executive pay every 1, 2, or 3 years. The board is recommending an annual vote, which is also pretty common practice. Now, this is likely the most significant proposal. They want to increase the number of authorized shares of common stock from 1.75 billion to 2.25 billion. That is an extra 500 million shares. The company says this is crucial for future financing, potential equity awards for employees, strategic partnerships, and other general corporate purposes. They acknowledge this will cause dilution to existing shareholders, but they believe it is necessary for the company's continued operations and strategic goals. They do mention that having more authorized shares could also deter a takeover, which is a classic reason for such proposals. It is a move that gives the company a lot more flexibility, but it definitely dilutes existing ownership. Finally, there is a proposal to allow the meeting to be adjourned if there aren't enough votes to pass Proposal 5, the share increase. This is essentially a fallback option to give management more time to secure the necessary shareholder support. Diving into the auditor situation, we see a bit of a history here. They mention a resignation of BF Borger's CPA PC following an SEC order, and then Markham LLP resigning because its test business was acquired by CB's. It is evident that auditor changes have been a recurring theme, and it is always something to watch closely. Looking at the fees paid to their auditors for the fiscal years 2025 and 2024, we can see the figures for 2025. The total fees were $187,455, which is a significant jump from the $107,550 in 2024. This increase likely reflects the expanded audit work and potentially the more complex financial statements. Now, let's talk about compensation and equity. The Outstanding Equity Awards at 2025 fiscal year end table shows us a snapshot of stock options and other equity holdings for the named executive officers. For example, Dr. Jacob Lalazari, the CEO, has a significant number of exercisable options. The company is also granting new stock options, with vesting schedules spread out over several years. This is a pretty standard way to incentivize executives to stay with the company and work towards increasing shareholder value. In the summary compensation table, we see the breakdown of what the top executives earned in 2025 and 2024. For Dr. Lalazari in 2025, his total compensation was $783,850, which includes his salary, a bonus, and stock option awards. His 2024 compensation was $685,366. The significant increase in share-based compensation for 2025 is notable, likely reflecting new grants or changes in valuation of existing awards. It is a pretty substantial amount, and it is important for shareholders to see how executive pay aligns with company performance. The pay versus performance table is particularly interesting as it tries to link executive compensation to the company's financial results. For fiscal year 2025, the total compensation for the principal executive officer, Dr. Lalazari, was $783,850, while the company's net income was a loss of $3,745,000. For the non-payo named executive officers, their total compensation was $499,007, with a net income loss of the same magnitude. This table highlights a key question for shareholders: is the pay received by executives truly reflecting the company's financial performance, especially given the net losses reported? Looking at stock ownership, the table shows that directors and executive officers hold a small percentage of the company's shares, typically less than 1%. For instance, the current directors and executive officers as a group own about 1% of the outstanding shares. This is not unusual, as many executives receive a significant portion of their compensation in stock options and awards rather than outright share ownership. Now, let me give you my take on all of this. CytoDyn Inc. is clearly in a growth and development phase, and the proposal to increase authorized shares signals their intent to raise capital and fund future operations, likely related to their leronlimab product. The current compensation structure, particularly the reliance on stock options, is designed to align executive interests with long-term shareholder value. However, the disconnect highlighted in the pay versus performance table between substantial executive compensation and the company's net losses is a significant point of concern. While stock-based compensation is valuable, shareholders will be watching closely for a turnaround in financial performance to justify ongoing compensation levels and the potential dilution from increased share authorization. The board is recommending its slate of directors and key proposals, but shareholder engagement and a clear path to profitability will be critical for the company's future success. Alright, that is our breakdown of CytoDyn Incorporated's latest proxy statement. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think the proposed increase in shares is a good move? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.